In 2027, search teams at an abandoned campsite in northern Alaska recovered a single piece of evidence, a modern video camera, half buried in the snow. The camera belonged to Daniel Reeves, a documentary filmmaker who had spent years investigating Frost Hollow, a remote mining settlement that officially vanished from regional maps in 1890. Historical records from that year describe a total disappearance. During a January blizzard, over 400 residents vanished without a trace, leaving the town's buildings and belongings completely intact. A 23-second file found on the camera contains the final moments Reeves recorded. The video is heavily corrupted, but the audio track captures heavy breathing and a dense layer of overlapping whispers. To understand those final seconds, we have to look at the evidence Reeves gathered before he returned to the valley alone. By mapping historical sightings against weather data, Reeves found a trigger. The town only manifested during years of unusually early snowfall. Following this pattern in October 2026, his crew found a massive settlement on terrain that satellite data showed as empty wilderness yesterday. The town appeared frozen in time. Fresh bread sat on cooling racks, wet shaving cream remained on chairs, yet the streets were completely empty. The condition of the interiors suggested life in Frost Hollow hadn't slowed down or moved away, it had been instantaneously interrupted. The crew waited inside the town hotel. At 12:17 a.m., the power flickered throughout the settlement. 1 minute later, every clock in the town stopped. Then, footsteps echoed through the streets. Deep footprints began pressing into the fresh snow one by one, as if invisible figures walked toward the center. By 12:31, the physical state of the buildings began to change. Dust vanished from the lobby, and music and conversation emerged from empty rooms. Hundreds of people appeared in the streets, but they flickered like unstable projections. They behaved like memories trapped in a repeating sequence, ignoring the film crew entirely. At 1:07 a.m., church bells rang out. Every flickering figure froze in place, their expressions shifting to a look of genuine terror. The residents began a forced, mechanical walk toward the church. They moved in unison, heads fixed toward the wooden doors at the settlement's center. An unnaturally tall, thin silhouette emerged from the church. As it moved through the crowd, every townsperson lowered their head. The figure turned toward the crew, and the entire crowd followed its lead. As hundreds of flickering faces began walking toward them, the crew fled. The final frame captured showed the words, "The town remembers," carved into the church wall. The town functions as a repeating mechanism. Each time the environment triggers its appearance, the night of the original 1890 disappearance plays out in a continuous cycle. Following the expedition, Reeves searched for records from the neighboring settlements that existed in 1889. He uncovered a merchant's diary with an entry written days before the town vanished. The people of Frost Hollow have stopped speaking about what lives beneath the church. Reeves returned to the valley alone during the next early snowfall, walking toward the church. He entered the building with his camera running, pursuing the source of the merchant's warning. The recovered footage begins with Reeves crossing the threshold of the church. His flashlight beam reveals a steep stone staircase hidden beneath the floorboards. The camera shakes as he begins a slow descent into the darkness. On the audio track, Reeves' breathing is joined by the sound of hundreds of voices whispering simultaneously from the bottom of the stairs. Just before the recording ends, the overlapping whispers sink into a single sentence. "We remember now." Daniel Reeves was never seen again. Bush pilots still report remote lights. Hikers find footprints that abruptly end. The legends of the region offer a consistent warning. If you hear church bells ringing during an Alaskan snowstorm, do not follow the sound. To enter Frost Hollow is to become part of its memory.